So we're going to pick back up right where we left off. We're back at the home button. You can also click on this Ignitia flame to take you home every time. Okay, so, and I realize that this is a series of videos, but just consider it your professional development as a homeschool teacher. So, this systematic way of kind of going through, especially if you have more than one student in Ignitia, this is really going to help you get into how to do this. Now, you'll notice there's a lot going on here. They want you to grade the assignment and grade the assignment. Okay, but here's the thing. That's not going to make sure everything is covered. You can decide if you want to start going into these one at a time and clearing out your action box. But as a teacher of several students, I've found that the most efficient way is to start in Gradebook. So we're going to go into the Gradebook, and as a teacher that is only assigned to your students, all you have to do is click this search button, and that will show you all of the students that are enrolled with you as their teacher. So if you only have one student in Ignitia, right here, you see this teacher, it's Jane's mom, Sarah Zook. So she only has one student, Jane. If you have more than one student, then we'll go over that in just a minute. So we're going to start with, if you just have one student in Ignitia, your student has these subjects, and this is the progress she's made in these subjects. She's been working hard all her first week, and this is the progress she's made. So I would start with just the first one on the list, and we're going to do what we call drilling down. So you click the plus arrow, and you have a whole bunch more places that you can click into. So you click the next plus arrow, and that brings you down into where you don't have any more plus arrows anymore. Excuse me. So now we have some information that we can use to help our student, and we can grade their work, and they're going to get blocked quite a bit because our procedure at Hope and in Ignitia is that the students need to have 100% in each lesson before they can proceed to the next one. And I know some of this information is not new. Some of it is repetitive, but it's important that everybody gets the information, and sometimes it's good to hear the things more than once. So here at Hope, we have this system where they have to get 100% on each lesson in order to move forward. So after their two attempts, they get two chances to get 100%. And if they don't get 100% after that two tries, two attempts, then the assignment after that is automatically blocked. I've discovered that there's no way to block projects, which is unfortunate because they end up kind of accidentally skipping to the projects as they're working. And sometimes the projects aren't easy to do until you've completed the lesson. So we're basically just going to have to teach the students, if you get blocked, just go to a different subject and keep working as much as you can until somebody can unblock you. So now the students have been instructed to send a message to their classroom teacher if they get blocked at school or at home. And so we're working at home during our office hours on like Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 3. I'm usually working a little bit more than that, but they know that we will answer their messages during within a few hours of that window. And so we're working to make sure that nothing gets skipped, that they don't get blocked out a whole bunch and you're at work and can't unblock them. We're working on that even on non-school days. So we're we're trying to develop some systems for that as well. But so you're home from work, your student worked in the afternoon and evening, and now they're blocked out of most of their assignments because they have a tendency to not go back and look at the material to help them find the answer to the question, which we'll probably have to do another video on that. Maybe I can squeeze it into this one. But anyway, so on Jane's work here, she's working in science and she's been blocked out of this assignment. Now, it's not going to unblock until you uncheck it, but we're trying to make sure that they go do their corrections before they move on to the next lesson. So our goal is to unblock them as quickly as we can and get them to go make those corrections so that they can then keep working with that 100% mastery of the information in the lesson before. So now you'll notice that these questions right here are all colored green. That means they are 100% correct. The points possible are right here. The points received are right here. They got 8 out of 8 possible points. And so all of these green questions are 100% correct. So we're going to click to section 2 and see what's going on. Okay, so this is the question she did not get correct. And let's see, a Christian Renaissance scientist considered possibly the greatest scientist of all time was Lamarck. So as the teacher, we have our show answer button. So we're going to click show answer. All right. So the answer is Newton. Well, how can we help our student? I'm going to hide the answer after that. How can we help our student to get the answer correct? Let's remember what the answer was. Okay, Newton. So we're going to go to show lesson first. Now, as the teacher, we get to see what the students saw. Now, this question is section 2. They did this little game or video. We're going to go back to the reading in section 1 to see what they saw. And we're going to go up again in Chrome. I don't know what browser you're using, but in Chrome, up in the right-hand corner, there's 3 little dots. And if I click on those dots, I get this drop-down bar that tells me find. So I'm going to click find and I'm going to type in, which I know you can't see, but I'm typing in Newton. And I didn't spell it correctly. All right, Newton, one of the greatest scientists of the Renaissance was Sir Isaac Newton. Okay, answer's right there. So I'm going to make a little teacher note. And I'm going to say, read this section again more carefully. Now, you don't necessarily have to do this. You know your student. You know if they need you to point out where that information is, and you know if they're just maybe not paying attention and you just need to reassign the question. So I made my note. Your student can see this when you do this. So I made my note, so I'm going to scroll all the way back up to the top and I'm going to hide the lesson. Then I'm going to go back in here to this incorrect question. I'm going to send the student a new message from right here. When I click that button, it automatically sends it to my student that got the answer wrong. And then I'm going to click assignment info. Now this assignment info tells her exactly where to go look, but it doesn't tell her which question you're talking about. So we can move this box out of our way a little bit and see that this is question 10. So you're going to, in your message that you send, you're going to say number 10. I wrote a note to help you find the right answer. Go back and look in section 1. Now, that's you being a good teacher. You're helping them figure out how to, excuse me, go find the information on their own. You're not giving them the answer. There are other ways to help them if it's not something that's simple, which we can talk about in person, or I can do more videos later if I see a need for that. But for right now, this should be plenty to help your student on this assignment that they got incorrect. So I'm going to send the message, and then I'm going to reassign the question. Now that automatically changes the score to 0 because it's in the assigned status. So that means that we can't change any scores, and we can't do anything else with the assignment until the student turns it back in. So now, if for some reason there's a glitch and they have already turned it back in, but it's not showing up that way, that has happened to us a couple of times, and it can be frustrating. And I am running out of time in my video here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this trick, and then I will go show you another method of going through the grading that we're going to need to do so that we make sure that we don't have as many glitches. So if this does happen where you graded it, they redid it, and they think that they've turned it back in and they've got all the answers right, and they're like, I need you to go grade it so I can be unblocked. And you encounter this and you see, well, it's an assigned status. Click on this box. Anything you do down here is for an individual question. Anything up here in this little gray box is for the entire assignment. And if we reset or assign when it is in this graded status, that's going to make them redo the whole assignment, and that's going to frustrate them, and that's just not what we want. So we're going to update the score, and it does not matter. I remember because I just did it that her score was 90, but you can type in 90, 95, 50. It's going to recalculate as you continue to grade. We're going to update that score. Now that lets us go in and reassign it if it's still incorrect, which it is. So now we're going to reassign it, and now they can go in and fix that. So now what we want to do, if we know our student's working on it and they're probably going to get it right, we can go, you always want to click this go to button and not your back button, because this will take you right back to where you were, especially if you have multiple students. So this takes us right back to Jane and her gradebook, and right all the way into where we were before. Now you think she's going to be fine and get that one right, you can go ahead and unblock this next assignment. If you think she's struggling, maybe don't unblock it, because that way she'll say, hey, I'm blocked again, and you can say, okay, let's look at it together and see why you keep getting this wrong. So you go in and you reassign it to her again, and then you sit down with her and you say, okay, so let's look at this and why, let's go look at where we can find the answer, that kind of thing. All right, so I've got a couple of more neat tricks to show you when it comes to grading, and I want to show you how to make sure all of the students' work is graded. So I'm going to leave you here for now, and we will pick right back up here in the next video.